Good afternoon, YouTube. I said I would do a video of me doing this, making up this terrarium. So I'm going to try and have a go. So first of all, the first thing I did was give it a good clean. It's quite important that you do that and give it, because you can't really clean it once you've planted it up. Obviously you can do the outside, but the inside of the glass is a little bit more difficult. I then place the plants in the tank in roughly the areas that I want to plant them, so I know how deep to go with the soil. So this plant is going to grow up taller, so I am going to pile up the soil in this corner because I want it to sit above the other ones which are down in the front. This plant is a creeping plant, so it's like a fig, so that one's going to creep along the bottom. And I can snip that, when it goes places I don't want it. The mounts I've put in there as well, and sort of roughly a rough area where I want them. So it's the Sologeny, which I made up the other day. I give it a good watering. And then this one here, which is the Neo Polpax. I don't know if you can read that. And that's that cute little one there. So that's done first. I've got everything I need on the table. So I'm just going to go ahead and plant it up as best I can. Hopefully you'll be able to see how I do it. So this is the front of the tank with the curve. Unfortunately, I need the front of the tank facing me so I can see what it's like. But I will turn it so you can get a better view. Right, so the first thing I put in is some of this gravel. If you can see it, I'll tip it up as I'm putting it in. So it's just a bit of fish tank gravel and some other stuff that I had. It's not really important what it is, because you're not really going to see it. It's just to give it a little bit of drainage area, because you can't see it through, the border on the tank. So just a little layer of that, just spread that out as best you can. And that's that. Thin layer on the bottom. So that's done. The next ingredient is charcoal. Now this is not the charcoal that you buy from, for barbecuing. This is charcoal, garden grade charcoal, because it's not impregnated with any accelerant or petrol or whatever it is they use on barbecue charcoal. And this particular charcoal, my husband made this. I've got a husband that likes to try his hand at lots of different things, and charcoal was one of them, which is great because I get to use all these bits up. So just a little thin layer. All it is to keep the soil from smelling, or the potting mix from smelling. So you don't need a great deal, just enough to put a few bits on the bottom. Probably put the rest of it in, to be honest. Dust and all. So, just spread that out without moving it around too much and disturbing the gravel. So that's those two. The next thing you're going to need is your potting mix. Now this is going to stay in here for quite a long time. So you need some decent potting mix with a bit of sand in it. So you can add a bit of sand. I also put a little bit of perlite in this and some slow release fertilizer. So not a lot, just enough to, to help the plants along. Obviously these two plants, not the orchids. So put that in where you want it. So I want to pile it up in this corner because I want this corner to be higher than the stuff at the front. Obviously you've got to put enough in that you can plant your plants in it, so you get a bit deep enough to take the plants. can always mix up some more or add some more if you don't quite get enough. So I'll see how I go with that much in a moment. We'll take some out. So spread it around. Once again, I've not got gloves on, but that's good enough for me. So just spread it around. I don't want this to be too high in this corner because that's where I'm putting that orchid. So I want it nice and high up here in this corner to give it a bit of interest, give it some leveling so it looks better. So I don't know if you can see where I've built it up in that right corner back there and had it fairly level in the front. So now I'm going to place the first orchid in, which is going to be the Popax. So that one's going to go down in this corner like that. You don't need to really, because it's on the mount, it sort of sits there quite well. And it's pretty good. The next one I'm going to put in is, I'm probably going to plant this little plant next. So we take it out of the pot. And most of the soil's fallen away, so that's good. So here it is. So we're just going to pop that one in the top here. Like that. Try not to get it against the glass if you can help it, and get the roots obviously in the soil or the potting mix. So that's that one planted. The next one I'm going to put in is, I'm going to put the Coleogene in and just see where I actually want to place it. Probably going to have it, I might have it facing the other way, like that. Like that. And then I'm going to put the fig down the front here, the climbing fig. So let's get that one out of the pot. This one's a bit drier, so it's going to be a bit more difficult to get this one in. Just spread out the roots. So what I'm going to do is make a little bit of an indentation like that. And what I've done, I don't know if you can see, but I've got the roots and I've spread them underneath, so it's not a deep plant. So put it in there, and I think what I'll do is I'll get some more compost and just put it in around as best I can. A little bit in there and a little bit that side, a little bit more. I'll do. So that one's more or less in place. So I want him to be, I want this one to grow, ramble as much as he can at the front. So that's the plants in, most of the plants, you can see that. And then the next ingredient, get all this out of the way, is the moss. Leave that a minute. So the moss is here. It's what we grow ourselves. We collect it and then we grow it, if you can see it. And it's got all little bits of pine needles. If you can see here, it's got some fungi in it. I'm putting that in because I think it looks more natural. So that piece with the fungi in it, it spreads easy. This is not the moss that you get, you know, that really thick spongy stuff that's really dense. It is not that moss. I would not use that in any of my terrariums, or even on my orchids for that matter, because that stuff is not good. I think it chokes the roots. This is very open and spongy, and it's very, you know, light. It's very lightweight. I pulled that mushroom out and I wanted it in there. Never mind, got one in there. Right, so I'm just going to place this as best I can around the plants. Like that. Just, you know, put it in around the base and around the things, just to make it, it's just to make it look natural. It's a particularly thick bit there that I really like. Put that at the back. See, that's a gorgeous bit. So just take off any bits that you don't need. Pull it apart. It's lovely stuff. You see how nice and long it is? It's got nice long fibres. I don't know if it's sphagnum moss. I really don't know. So I'm leaving that in there, and I'll put that, squish that bit down in there, because that looks good. And then little bits at the front. Down in there. Stand back and have a look. Yep, that looks okay. Take some of that out there. So you want it looking, you know, quite natural. You don't want to pull everything out. You want to leave some of these bits in. Might put a little bit under the moss at the front here. Just in there. I'm not going to completely cover the moss, completely cover the front with it, because we want to showcase that fig. Put a little bit more this side. Obviously, to keep this alive, you have to spray it, and I shall be spraying it every day. Otherwise, it'll just dry. It doesn't look too bad when it's dry. It's it looks fairly good. A little bit more. Put that bit at the front, I think. Quite pretty colour. Bring the leaves up. Here. It's a little bit fiddly. There you go. So, you know, I've left all the pine needles in it. I've not pulled all of them out. Pulled some of them out. I've pulled anything that looks like a weed, you know, because obviously this has been collected naturally. A little bit more in the bottom there. Right, so I think that looks okay. Push it down. Might put a little bit behind that plant. Just to make it look a bit more natural. Pull that out. Right, so I think that's enough. I think I've done enough there. Don't want it too high. And all I'll do now is I'll spray it down, spray the glass off, clean the glass off from all the bits and bobs. But I'll show you it first. Get that out of the way. Just rinse my hands. So here it is. Hopefully you can see that. It's not very good with, need to put, just be back in a minute. So I've put a piece of card behind it so you can sort of, but the best thing for this is to put a black card, on the back of the tank to, you could possibly even put it on the sides of the tank as well. And then, because I've put the light on in here, but you can't, you know, the light's coming in the window and you can't really see it that well. But what I'll do is I'll tidy it all up, and then I'll put a another video up in a few days' time showing you what it's like, you know, what it looks like all finished with, hopefully with some card around it to tidy it up a bit. So there, so that's how I make the terrariums. I hope it's helpful to people. I'm no expert. I've just made a couple terrariums, but I find the one that I made with the Phalaenopsis orchid in it and the Docra orchid it's come on really nice. Yeah, so I'm exceptionally pleased. So anyway, thank you for watching. Bye for now.